Hey there, from the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Ruby DeLuna with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Tuesday, October 21st. The candidates for Seattle mayor are trading criticisms over how the city manages homelessness. Mayor Bruce Harrell said during a debate on KUOW that the regional approach he inherited puts too much burden on Seattle and that other cities need to contribute more. Challenger Katie Wilson responded with a swipe at Harrell's record on homelessness.
You know, I've been on the debate stage with the mayor a number of times now, and he does a lot of passing the buck. So yes, we want other cities to step up and contribute more, but the mayor's the mayor of Seattle, not the mayor of those other cities.
Harrell answered with criticism of Wilson's lack of experience in government.
And it's pretty offensive when I've been working on these issues for 16 years, and thousands of people before me and are working with me right now, and my opponent has zero background in doing this work.
Wilson says she has advocated for housing and shelter reforms for 14 years. KUOW's Libby Denkman moderated the debate. You can listen to the entire debate right now at KUOW.org or on Seattle Now this Saturday. UW human rights researchers have found that Border Patrol and ICE have been tapping into state license plate data, and some local police departments that shared this information say it caught them off guard. Gustavo Sagredo reports.
This report from the UW Center for Human Rights looks into the expanding use of license plate readers used to track crime and found that at least 8 Washington state law enforcement agencies have been leaving the door wide open to federal immigration agencies. That includes the Yakima, Lakewood, and Auburn police departments. Angelina Godoy leads the UW Center.
That's really problematic, and even if they tighten their settings now, if the technology continues to have those vulnerabilities, and it does, I would be worried that the abuse will continue.
Godoy says if the data sharing is left unchecked, it could potentially run local law enforcement afoul of state law. She says it also highlights how little some law enforcement agencies understand the consequences of using these tools. In response, some local police departments have shut down access for national use and say they'll continue to monitor attempts from outside access. Gustavo Sagredo, KUOW News.
More now on the story unfolding in Oregon. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled yesterday in favor of the Trump administration's efforts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. As Oregon Public Broadcasting's Conrad Wilson reports, the ruling does not mean the National Guard is immediately headed to the city.
The decision overturns one of 2 temporary restraining orders issued by a lower court judge blocking the federalization and deployment of the National Guard to Oregon. Jessica Levinson, a professor at Loyola Law School, says the majority of the appeals court found the president's authority shouldn't be questioned over concerns such as an inability to carry out federal law.
Judges owe the president great deference in that area. And what a majority of the panel concluded is that the district court judge had essentially substituted her judgment for the president's judgment in an inappropriate way.
In a dissenting opinion, an appeals court judge warned the majority was eroding constitutional protections, such as the right to protest the government and state sovereignty.
That was Conrad Wilson reporting. Seattle Mariners fans are processing last night's Game 7 loss in the American League Championship Series. Ari Zaunsberg flew to Seattle from France to catch some playoff home games, then stayed for watch parties at T-Mobile Park.
There's a certain peace that comes with it being over, and I guess the knowledge that you're a fan of a team that's cursed.
But M's fan Siraj Hassan doesn't believe in curses.
There's no such thing. It's baseball. There's a fastball, there's a splitter, there's a curveball. Hit the ball, be patient. Find your pitch, keep your eye in the zone. That's it.
The M's are still the only team in Major League Baseball that has never played in the World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays will host the Los Angeles Dodgers for Game 1 on Friday. Seattle officials are forecasting a slightly better economic outlook for the city, taking a bit of pressure off City Hall as it wrestles with next year's budget. The Seattle Times reports that analysts revised their revenue projections up by about $14 million. They credit strength in the stock market, more construction, and steady revenue from the city's payroll tax. Seattle still faces a hefty budget deficit and concerns about the job market. City Council President Sarah Nelson said she's cautiously optimistic about the financial outlook, but warned the city is still vulnerable to federal funding cuts and the effects of tariffs. Now, our feature story today. Social media and online influencers are playing a bigger role in national politics and in Seattle's mayoral race. Progressive organizer Katie Wilson has embraced the medium and came in nearly 10 points ahead of incumbent Mayor Bruce Harrell in the August primary. KNKX Murrow News fellow Nate Sanford has more.
Lobbing Scorchers is a podcast about the Seattle Sounders. But in May, ahead of the primary, hosts Noah Reif and Ari Lillienwall took a detour.
We're joined by Katie Wilson, who is running for mayor.
They talked about soccer, but also about policy issues like zoning and how all new construction looks the same now.
Like the townhome.
Yeah, the townhome.
The ones where it's like how do you make like a fairly good-sized home feel really small?
Exactly.
Because it's just like one room.
At first, Lillienwall was surprised Wilson agreed to go on.
Like, why would she want to come on a soccer show?
A soccer show with a few thousand followers. But Wilson started the campaign with almost no name recognition. Her campaign manager, Alex Gallo-Brown, says they've been trying to say yes to basically everyone who asks for an interview.
We're coming outside the normal channels, right? And so any way that we can get our message out, any audience that we can speak with.
Wilson has been doing interviews with all sorts of non-traditional media, like baseball blogger John Trupin and leftist YouTuber Squid Tips. She also talked with food influencer Kenji Lopez-Alt on Instagram, where he has more than 800,000 followers. They have big audiences, but many of their followers aren't Seattle voters. Wilson's opponent, Mayor Bruce Harrell, has mostly been sticking with traditional media, like an appearance on Cairo's G and Ursula show a few days before the August primary. They're the #1 radio show in Seattle for their time slot. The listenership skews older.
Mayor, there needs to be more homes.
Agreed. And I mentioned earlier that under our administration, we have 33,000 new units, but we can still do more and we will do more.
Harrell says he hasn't been intentionally avoiding influencers.
I would mislead you if I said I spent an inordinate amount of time on strategizing on who to talk to. We're pretty flexible and nimble.
Harrell says he's happy to sit down with pretty much anyone. He says he's had lots of great conversations with community members that weren't recorded for social media. Wilson's interviews with content creators tend to be friendly. Most are open about the fact that they support her. Mark Smith is a political communications professor at the University of Washington.
These podcasts are different. I think it's seen as an endorsement on both sides. Like if generally the podcast host will invite on somebody that they tend to, they like them. They want to have a friendly conversation.
The dynamic can create challenges. Shortly before the primary, Wilson did an hour-long interview with Ian Kaczynski. He's a prominent left-wing YouTuber better known as Vosh.
You don't own a car, you use public transportation and a bicycle. Do you think you're better than me?
Absolutely not.
Kaczynski has a history of edgy and controversial statements. He's caught flack for a live stream years ago where he questioned the illegality of child pornography possession. Harrell's campaign put out a press release attacking Wilson for doing an interview with him. Wilson's campaign manager says they weren't aware of the statements and might not have done the interview if they knew. From the start of her campaign, Wilson has also been regularly producing short-form videos that feel native to social media. There's a clear influence from the breakout success of mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani in New York.
As we all know, Zohran is charismatic, telegenic, and stylish. I, on the other hand, am deeply awkward.
During the primary election, Harrell's campaign only posted a few videos on his Instagram. They were all traditional television campaign ads with that standard upbeat music.
Let's keep working for the affordable Seattle we all deserve.
Paid for by Bruce for Seattle.
Since the primary, Harrell has been posting short-form videos that feel native to social media.
I'm out here at Rainier Beach knocking on doors and talking to residents about what matters to them and how I can be even a more effective mayor.
The growing role of podcasters and other non-traditional media mirrors national trends. In the last presidential election, Donald Trump courted young men by going on podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience.
And I would see that and be like, God, that's such terrible content, but it's smart.
The soccer podcast Lobbing Scorchers invited Wilson onto their show after running into her at a farmer's market. They'd like the mayor to come on.
Bruce, come on the show.
Yeah, Bruce, we would genuinely, Bruce, come on the show. We would love to have you. It's an open invite to anyone else. We're open to chatting, and we have a platform, so come and use it.
The hosts don't think they have the power to sway Seattle's mayoral election. But they did see comments from people saying they found out about Wilson from their podcast, and were excited to vote because of it. Nate Sanford, reporting.
Nate Sanford is a Murrow News Fellow for KNKX in partnership with Cascade PBS. Next time on Seattle Now, KIRO 7 reporter Deborah Horn is retiring after 34 years of telling stories in Seattle.
I looked at my coworkers in one meeting and I said, my career is older than everybody in this room.
Hear more from Deborah Wednesday morning. And that's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst. I'm Ruby DeLuna. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See you later.